Welcome back to Mike's Miniatures, the place for all things miniature wargaming, and today is Warhammer Wednesday. And on today's episode of Warhammer Wednesday, we're going to do the final part here for my Grey Knight Space Marines, the Terminator Paladin unit that I got, in just going over how to paint them up for future Grey Knight miniatures. As you can see by this picture here, or these two here, this is basically how the Grey Knights kind of look. They're mostly a silver armored space marine with a lot of gold trim and a little bit of red and white splashed here and there. And in some art depictions, we see that their powers, nemesis weapons, swords, and halberds and such will have like a blue electricity kind of vibe to it. So I've taken all that, looked at my paints, and decided let's go ahead and paint up my Grey Knights in this manner. So for this video, I'm going to do an example with just this Grey Knight Paladin right here, with his dynamic pose of holding his halberd. First and foremost, I just primed it with the primer that I had on hand, which happened to be gray, and with that special mint base that we did, I did a black wash over the gray primer, and it gave it that rubbled dark black look right there for it. And right here is the first layer of paint that we're going to do other than the primer. This is Army Painter Gunmetal, which is a basic steel kind of color here, and when you first apply it to the miniature, you just apply it all over it, everywhere you can go. 90% of this model is 85 to 90% of this model is silver, and that so let's let this silver cover 80 to 90% of the model here. Now for the next color, it's Abaddon Black by Citadel is what I used, and this is used for all the joint parts of the armor. They're very few and very hard to see, but underneath that armor plating, these Space Marines will have a protective kind of like rubber suit that for being in space, they need to have something that's insulation underneath the armor plating, and so that's what that is. So anywhere that I saw any kind of hosing or rubber plating, things like that, that's where I would paint it black here for it. And now for the red details. On the red, I used Mephiston red from Citadel, and I painted things like the bolt case, half of the tilt shield he has on his shoulder, the halberd handle, and any other little details I could find on this Grey Knight unit to really just give it a little break from just all silver. This was our first little color here for that. Next, I'm base coating anything that would be white and or bone colored or cloth such as the purity seal streamers with this wraith bone, and you can already see that it's making things look a whole lot better with that wraith bone on there, making it stand out. The next prominent color on these miniatures is the gold, and I used Retributor armor, and all the details with the writing on the shoulder pads and things like that. I literally just kind of thinned down this paint and let it flow into the gaps and kind of controlled it to where it absorbed. And when we get to the wash stage, it'll really make those letters pop. So we don't have to worry if it looks kind of smudged there. It'll take care of itself. The next little bit of paints I used was actually a twofold for the power weapon as well as for his lenses. Grey Knights typically have a blue light lens, and so for the lens I used the Army Painter Crystal Blue as a base paint, and then on the halberd I found this blue sapphire paint. You can find this at Walmart, and they're typically anywhere from 59 cents to like $1.60 as of the making of this video. I recommend it because it makes a very good glittering power weapon kind of deal. You just got to do that paint and thin it out with some paint thinner or water and just put it over anything that is a silver color, and it's an instant power weapon. Really quick and cheap, simple way of doing that. Now here's the wash, and I just did the lazy thing and covered the entirety of the model with Agrax Earthshade. This darkened down all the colors and gave it that sense of gritty realism that we needed in order to really make this model feel like it's coming alive. Now on to highlights after we've done the wash. With the wash, you can technically call it done, but I want mine to pop a little bit more on the tabletop. So this is where highlights come in. Using the Army Painter Plate Mail Metal, I use everything that has a silver surface. I just put it on there again, this time a little bit more control, didn't do the entire armor panel. So if you imagine that you have a square, you're coloring everything in the square except right up to the line. You have a thin line all the way around and around the corners. That's basically what you're doing with the armor panels and everywhere all around in different segments of the knight and Space Marine. This is how you get the bold color but still keep the shading that the wash did for you. Then with the halberd, I use that same sapphire blue or blue sapphire color here and put it on the power weapon to give it another base coat to brighten it up a little bit. And then later on, as it dries, I did another technique to kind of give it a two-tone, which we'll see in a moment. And then from here, Mephiston red again on any parts that are red to really make those red elements pop, like on his arm bolter and the halberd handle. It really makes it shine. And speaking of shine, here's the Retributor armor yet again, and just going over all the trimmings and things with the gold, just ever so lightly, picking the highest points to really make them shine that way and bring back the gold, because the Agrax Earthshade will take this gold and make it look kind of a bronzish gold, and then adding this on top of it again will bring it back up to that bright gold. And here we are again with the halberd. The mini is basically done at this point. I just did this. I did a mix of shining silver on top of the what I had on the halberd on the sharp part of the blade, and then with a thin down, did the sapphire blue again. And if you see on that picture, it gives it to where the more dull side of the halberd, it's a darker sapphire blue, and then a lighter sapphire blue on the blade section, right there. So that's basically how you paint up a great knight into the iconic color scheme like this official artwork that Games Workshop had for it. Um, Thank you so much for joining me here on Warhammer Wednesday and learning just how to paint the Space Marine. I believe next week I should be doing an unboxing of a box set that I got in the mail from my lovely wife, who is a supporter of this channel and wanted me to do some more work with this. So appreciate her and appreciate all you watching, liking, subscribing. Leave a comment in the comment section if you have any questions or if you have anything you want to learn how to paint down the road. If it's a space marine, a alien, a Xenos race of some kind, I'd be happy to go into a painting tutorial like that, whether it's picture form or actually a live recording of us actually painting it. It's amazing. But once again, thank you, and we will see you next week. Bye bye.